The era of Bill Clinton's wisdom is over. And that's the subject of the riff. Former President Bill Clinton spoke to the DNC last night, but he failed to share with all those Democrats any of the economic wisdom he learned from his own presidency roughly 30 years ago. Clinton had a chaotic personal life. Then in his first term, he jacked up taxes on individuals and businesses, and his wife Hillary tried to nationalize health care. And the voters completely rebelled in the 1994 midterm. Voters threw out Democrats by the droves and elected a Republican House for the first time in 40 years, and they delivered a landslide GOP victory in the Senate also. In other words, they repudiated Mr. Clinton's high tax and spend policies of his first 2 years. Repudiated. Then he changed policies, big time. Following his stinging midterm election defeats, in his 1995 State of the Union message, he changed course and he said, let's change the government, let's make it smaller, less costly, and smarter. And by 1996, he opened his State of the Union message by saying, the era of big government is over. Remember that? Working with Newt Gingrich, Clinton forged a whole new pro-growth policy. He cut capital gains taxes, signed the best welfare reform bill in history. Millions of people were taken off the welfare rolls, went back to work, and the country prospered. Investor spirits rose. The information age moved into high gear. Clinton oversaw a leaner government, and almost miraculously, strong economic growth turned the budget deficit into a surplus. He was reelected in 1996, but he continued to work hand in glove with the Gingrich Republicans. Now, here's the tragedy of his speech last night. He talked about none of this. In fact, I don't think he even mentioned the economy, even though he was the best economic president since John F. Kennedy's gold-based tax cutting. Of course, like every other major speaker, Mr. Clinton completely avoided Kamala Harris's wacky economic speech that she made last Friday. That $2 trillion spending and price control disaster that was heavily criticized by conservatives and liberals, including the left-wing Washington Post, it has seemingly been deleted from the Democratic memory, as in no one wants to talk about it. That includes the across-the-board tax hikes that will do enormous damage to the economy, which recent job revisions suggest is a lot weaker than originally thought. And the $2 trillion spending is even bigger than the inflationary spending bills of 21 and 22, where Ms. Harris cast the deciding votes in favor. Listening to these Democrats for the last 3 nights, it seems like Kamala's major economic speech has fallen into an existential memory hole. Now, how she's going to handle it tonight remains to be seen. Maybe she'll flip-flop it and say the whole thing was really a ruse when she was much younger 7 days ago. But here's where Bill Clinton should have come into play. He should have stood up there in front of the convention and said, look, I jacked up taxes in 1993. Along with my wife, attempted a massive tax and spend and regulatory takeover of the health care system. And unfortunately, my Democratic Party got slaughtered in the midterm election. So in a friendly way, he could have said, I'd like to give you some good advice, folks. Voters are in no mood for big taxes, big spending, and big inflation. Let this be a warning. As much as I respect Joe Biden and support Kamala Harris, I'm warning you not to go out on a big government limb that will cost you all 3 houses in 75 days. He could have said, I learned my lesson the hard way, but I did learn it. And you know what? Sometimes Republicans have better ideas than we do. So I went along with many of them, and I was reelected handsomely, and the country prospered. Mr. Clinton did say there should be much more respect among people who disagree, more civil discourse. That's good, even though he took a couple of cheap shots at Donald Trump. But what was totally missing from his speech was the kind of economic wisdom that he learned so well 30 years ago. In that important sense, both Mr. Clinton and the Democratic Party missed what could have been an enormously important learning moment last night. But they missed it. And that's the riff, all right?